Hey you guys, it's James from AppSpy here, and as you may have heard, Hearthstone has come to iPhone at last. They promised it would be coming onto the device way back when they released it on iPad, but it's taken quite a while for it to get here. Now, I am no Hearthstone expert. We do have a guy on staff, Matt Thrower, who's really into it, and he's going to write more about it in the future. But at first, all I want to do is take a look at the visual differences between the two, because they've got to deal with this big board, and how have they smushed it onto the iPhone screen? Well, the answer is they've kind of zoomed in. So if you see the iPad version here, you've got a full view of those rocky outlets at the top right hand and left hand corners of the screen, those little Aztec ruiny looking things, and the same thing at the bottom. If you check on the iPhone screen, you'll notice you can't really see all of it, and the camera has zoomed in to kind of crop the top and bottom off of the board. This makes sense as you've got to make concessions for the 16:9 ratio on the iPhone versus the 4:3 on the iPad. What else have we seen that's different? Well, the settings have been bumped from the lower right hand corner of the screen to the top, as you can see here. They're also a little bit bigger on the iPhone screen comparatively anyway. Another difference I've noticed is that the iPad version shows the mana crystals in the lower right hand side. Not only do you get the 0 out of 2 or 5 out of 5 or whatever, you also see the individual crystals lined up on the bottom. On the iPhone version, you only see how many you have as a numeric representation, and then when they get powered up each turn, something will fly in from the right-hand side of the screen, showing you physically how many crystals are stacked one on top of the other. So they've taken bits of the interface and decided to hide them away when they're not really necessary. Another major difference, the cards on the iPad version are all kind of fanned out at the bottom center of the screen, sort of visible at all times, and you can put your finger on them and just drag them out onto the playing board. However, on the iPhone version, you can see the cards fanned out on the lower right-hand side of the screen, and if you try and put your finger on them and drag them out, you may be able to do it, but it's really fiddly because often you'll have that thing that will pull up the option settings on the iPhone. So the best thing to do is actually just tap that little fan of cards. They will expand. As you can see, they'll shoot towards the front of the screen. Then you can grab them individually and drop them onto the table. The same way the opponent's cards are now in the top left-hand side of the screen instead of the center. So they're just little minor concessions and tweaks to make the whole thing work a little bit easier on iPhone as opposed to the iPad, where you've got all of that space available. We're going to be taking a look at it in greater detail, probably via an article from one of our guys, but at first glance, has the transition from iPad to iPhone been a successful one? You bet it has. If you've got an iPhone and you've been waiting your turn, now is the time to get involved. This has been James with AppSpy.com. We review, you decide.